Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
Just been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Joining us now to continue what has been a pretty good streak of pre-season conversations, driver of the Napa Auto Parts Dodge Charger, Ron Capps, joins us once again here at the start of 2019. Ron, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. I can't believe it's here already. First of all, this is, every off season we talk, and usually you and I'll chat about the off season, and it usually flies by for me with all the stuff we do with our sponsors, and this year I actually got to relax a little bit more than usual, and I'm raring to go. Can't wait.
I can't wait either, and I'm real fired up about like the season last year and the past couple of years, and I've been out there more and more, and so learning more and more, becoming more immersed in the sport, and it was really weird after Pomona. For the first time, I felt like, tired, man. It's not like I wanted to get away, but I was tired. And everybody told me that, you'll go a couple of weeks and then you'll want to be back and you'll want this again and you'll want to be back again. And I'm feeling that. And I'm super excited about the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals. And I'm just going to be there announcing. Like, I can't imagine what it feels like for you as a driver.
Yeah, and for this year, here in 2019, there's a lot of cool stuff. We did the usual off season. We did our 13th annual, which is crazy to think, Caps Fan Cruise, and it went out at Los Angeles. So that was nice and close, and we didn't have to travel to get on the boat. And they're already traveling or planning next year's out of Miami, which is going to be a great cruise.
But, there you go.
So
the MIA.
Yeah, we did that. I could stop at your house and say hi, right?
Yes. WFO in studio, Ron Capps. We did it with Todd Smith. Why can't we do it with Ron Capps, right?
Perfect. I like it. And so, yeah, we kind of, we got ready, did all the stuff for this year, all the promo stuff, and then Napa had asked me if I wanted to be involved in this year's paint scheme, which is a first. We're 11 years in the sponsorship, and I've loved every year. I mean, every paint scheme has been awesome, and for them to ask me to be more involved in it this year was awesome, too, to kind of go through the motions. So I was pumped, really, for our fans to kind of see something a little bit different, sort of a little updated and kind of cool. And so they let me go at it, and it turned out great, I think. We'll see what the fans think. But, and then all of a sudden, here's preseason testing, and we didn't attend it. And that was a little strange to sit at home and watch it and not be able to make some laps in the car and just sort of, people, I got to say it. I mean, as many years as I've been doing, I know Forrest will say the same thing. After, the season is grueling after the countdown, and then you sort of get a chance to get back in the car and be reminded of how unbelievably awesome these funny cars are. When you step on the gas at preseason testing, it's nice because the crew chief is checking new stuff out, and usually you get to go to half track because, to be honest with you, when you're out of the car for a couple months, it just, you forget how unbelievable these things are. And so that's always nice. Well, this year we didn't attend the testing, so the first time I step on the gas is going to be Q1 in Pomona, so this ought to be fun.
Okay, you've been down the track many, 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 many times. This is your 25th year in the NHRA. That feeling that you're describing, is that nervousness? Is that just excitement? I agree. You're about to go through something crazy, and when you do it, it's going to matter. Q1.
Yeah, and Pomona being a short shutdown, it's one of our most historic tracks, but it's also the shortest probably shutdown area. We have brand new Dodge Hellcat bodies that we've never run, so we spent a lot of the off season. That was part of why we didn't go to testing, as Tobler wanted to make sure everything was done right. Brand new chassis, made a lot of good changes. So we'll probably make a checkout run, believe it or not. Q1, he'll probably have me shut it off about 700 or 800 feet if it's running good. And just come back. He'll look at everything to make sure everything's good. We got to double check the chutes. Everything works with the Hellcat body. And you just kind of want to check everything over. You don't want to run it on down there, even if it's running good the first run, and not be able to check everything out. So when we went to the Hellcat bodies, we had to change everything with our chassis up front. So it wasn't a matter of putting those Hellcat bodies on when Hagen started running them last year. It wasn't a matter of bolting on the DSR chassis we already had. We had to reconfigure the front of these cars for the way the chassis sat on them. So there was a lot more going on, and so we wanted to make sure everything was right.
I have just retweeted a photograph of the new paint scheme, and that's awesome. A little light blue in there, maybe a little more yellow, and you were involved. I like the Hellcat body. I think it's cool, and now that there's, you've explained like why there was a reason. I know Ron had told us last year, the balance of the car, you're moving everything, right? It's changing the balance of the car, and that's challenging. Now you guys have had, the off season to hopefully figure that all out.
Yeah, from what Hagen says, and actually Beckman's team ran it a little bit at the end of last year, so they were thumbs up as far as being able to drive it and see out of it and all that. So, we'll work on the balance of the car. Every car is different, even though we got everything set up the same in our camp with all the different cars. Every car is a little different, and so you just kind of want to move the weight around. If you got to move fire bottles from front to back or vice versa, that's what you do, and it's team to team. So a lot of times, even though it's set up the same, if you pull the body off, there's a lot of things different.
Very interesting. So, Ron, 53 years old now, and I'm not that far behind you. And we've watched your career. I mentioned 25 years, and I'm thinking as you go through this, again and again, getting up, going out, starting this journey. It's a fight. It's a battle. There's ups, there's downs, highs, lows, intense pressure. You are not just a driver in that you have so many things to do on the schedule with the folks at Napa, and that's one of the reasons they've re-upped with you and extended this relationship. Like, where's your head at right now? As this part of your life where you're doing this, you're heading out on the long, lonesome highway once again to chase the dream of winning a Mellow Yellow World Championship, another one.
It's strange. Even you mentioned my age and how many years. It's I feel like I'm 25 still. Even this morning. I mean, it's I guess it's the lifestyle and just kind of what you where your head is kind of depicts where you think you're going to be, and I try to every day is a matter of getting better and trying to be better in who I know is I'm going to have to race against. I'm pretty much every day at the gym doing something, and the people I hang around with, the rock and roll people and the skateboarders and everybody that we sort of, the time I spend away from the racetrack, and I guess it keeps me young. But I really feel like I'm in better shape physically, believe it or not, than I was when I was 25, and I strive to be better on everything I do, including everything out of the racetrack, sponsorship-wise, all the stuff we do with our sponsors you may not hear or you do hear, and social media, man. It's I was not real pleased about starting to do it when I did, 10 years ago or whenever this all started. I didn't believe people wanted to know what the heck we were doing every minute of the day or what we were going to do, and I'm glad I did, but I fought it. I fought it pretty hard, and but it's a matter of what you have to do nowadays, and you got to stay relevant pretty much. And I love hearing people walk up to me and go, "Hey man, I love following you on Instagram. You're a crack up. You do this. I love your post." Those are those moments where you go, "Okay, well that made it all worth it."
Well, just looking at your feed, and whenever I speak with you, I bring up your feed because you're very active, and you have been. You were at the what is it, the Grand National Roadster Show, which was right there in Pomona. You had your car in the show, which is kind of cool, and that's like a hybrid event, right? You get to go out and build awareness, and yet also you're a car guy and you get to show your car.
Yeah, and it was amazing how many NHRA fans. Every time we left that building and came back, there were all these fans around taking pictures of it, and people pointing at my name on the sign next to the car. We kind of sat back a couple of times and just watched people, and it was pretty fun because they'd turn around and some of them would see me and come over and get pictures taken, and it makes you feel so good about being a part of our sport and how much it's really grown here lately, and to have people posting pictures of them next to my car because they saw it on social media was cool. But the Grand National Roadster Show was sort of a nice thing before this Pomona race because I got to hang around with all the every hero I could think of in drag racing was hanging out there. They've all got street rods or know somebody does, and they were just it was fun to kind of reminisce with some of these old school guys, and have a car there and kind of be, that kind of coolness for a while, just hanging out. And so that was fun, and it's just, right there at the fairgrounds, we were literally 1,000 feet from the drag strip is where the building was. So it was kind of strange to be there and not be racing.
Yeah, I can imagine. 59 Winter Nationals. That is just such a big number. I know this year we're getting ready for the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, and we're going to make a huge milestone of that. Unfinished Business, Ed the Ace, Snake, a bunch of guys that are very relevant in your life and career, going to get a chance to battle against, Garlitz, Muldowney, Terry Vance, Warren Johnson, across categories. I'm excited about that. They're going to be in Toyota Camrys, but I'm okay with it. Maybe it gives their personalities a little more opportunity. I do think that somebody's going to cheat somehow, but I just don't know how that's going to happen. But it's crazy when we get in these sports and these races up in numbers like, 50, 59, and showing how, the history of the sport has gone for so many years.
Yeah, and those constant milestones, it's hard to imagine. And, it's too bad Wally Parks can't physically see what he's accomplished and what he started. It's pretty neat to see the longevity of some of these races. And, I can't wait for that either. I was kind of blown away. I figured they'd be in Dodge Hemis or, something a little more powerful. But like you said, I think it's actually going to be cooler because it's really going to put a more emphasis on each of those heroes at the Gators. I can tell you right now, I will be standing as close to the starting line as I can get when they run that thing because it's already got me excited about watching because I know it's Snake and I know Ace really well, obviously getting to work for him. But to watch them and watch, compete against Shirley and Warren and Terry Vance, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm already advocating, NHRA is going to have a system for determining the pairings, and that's their business and all. But I just want to, publicly state, and I wonder what you think, as far as matchups go. Don't we have to see Garlitz and Muldowney first round just to make sure that it happens? Because, what if they're on opposite sides of the ladder and one of these other legends bounces them out, right? Don't we kind of have to see that one last time?
Yeah, they ought to hold it to a vote. Fan vote is what they should do, and I guarantee that would happen. There's no way that wouldn't happen. That will be epic. So, yeah.
Right?
Maybe the better thing would be to be down by you at the top end of the track. That, as you were saying that, I thought, man, it'd be cool to see them when they get out of the cars at the other end of the track. So I might be standing there being your assistant.
There you go. Or how about passengers? Let's let passenger reporters in the cars while it happens.
No, I don't want. Yeah, if something goes wrong, I don't want to be anywhere near any of these drivers.
That is funny, hysterical, and also true. All right, let's focus a little bit more on your team. In that, okay, last year. Characterize your last year. Give me when you look back at 2018. What do you think about what happened? J.R. Todd went on, won the championship, had a great countdown in a year that that his countdown was fantastic. Not as fantastic as Steve Torrance's countdown, but then again, no one has ever done that. But when you look back at 2018, what do you think about what happened, how it went?
For us, we let it get away. I really felt like St. Louis was a turning point. We just come off of Reading, where we had a good semifinals, and then I had an accident down at the other end of the track, and I thought my season was over.
Let me interject, because I wasn't there for that, and I heard about it, and we discussed it afterwards. And then Robert went on and had his problem, and it was a very interesting thing. Nobody, I don't expect you to ever say, oh, it factored in, because people are like, well, for you, I saw you standing against the wall right after that, the next race, and you were in pain, man. You were favoring a leg, you were in pain, you weren't your normal self, you had to soldier through. Driving one of these cars, there had to be an effect. There had to.
I don't think so. I really don't. We lost. I lost on a hole shot to Cruz first round. We had a great car in qualifying. In fact, probably one of the best cars. And I'm not sure why I wasn't super late, but for me, I didn't think I was that late. I know Cruz, he rolls it in, usually pretty good amount. But I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't my usual self. And I believe it or not, we did Tyler, our clutch guy, and Tova worked real hard to make sure the clutch. It was my left leg, and the worst part was leaving Reading in a wheelchair. And I'm boarding my plane in Philly the next morning, and there's fans and some other couple of Steve Torrance's guys ran into me, and they're pushing me through the airport in a wheelchair, and I thought my season was done, and we just had a great start. So that race, I was fine physically. I could push the clutch in. It wasn't affecting me at all, and I think that was really the point that kind of cost us the season, I feel like, anyway. But I think the whole season for everybody was strange. You know, we had the track prep thing kind of changed throughout the year. We went back to the 5-disc, and it was a great move by Tobler because of the lack of track prep being put down, that I think a lot of teams figured out that the 6-disc, and funny cars anyway, may not be the right move. And we were very comfortable with the 5-disc from winning the championship and almost going back-to-back. So long story short, I just feel like I know a lot of teams would probably tell you, including Haidt, who, man, it was unbelievable to get back in the car after what he did. And then you just, JR to just stretch that lead out, and they just hit their stride. And, all you can do is take your hat off to somebody like that. And I just felt like we had a great shot, and then we lost a bunch of points when we went out early in St. Louis. And having the best car and that happening hurts so much more, especially when you're talking in the off season about what happened and what you can do better. And then doing interviews with Joe in January or in February, right before Pomona, talking about the season and having to remember, what happened. And so anyway, I think that probably cost us the championship, to be honest with you.
Wow. And well, I believe that what do they say? You learn so much more from mistakes and failures than you do from success, although we prefer success. And so here you are getting ready to go. How about the team? Ron, Dustin, like who's back? Has there been any turnover at the Napa team?
No turnover at all. And Tobler had to take a couple trips with Don during the off season, and we talk quite a bit. Tobler and I will either text or call, and he'll update me on stuff going on with the shop. And he's very tight with what goes on with Don and the whole shop. So he called me, and he was very, very impressed with what Dustin, it was his first year as a crew chief assistant this last year, and he's brought up as from being a car chief. And this isn't a guy that's been around a lot of electronic stuff on the car or clutches or really tune-up related stuff prior to going into this last season as Ron's assistant. And you look back at this, the list of Ron's assistants is pretty cool, of where all these assistants are now and what they've done. So he came back from one of the trips with Don, and Dustin had really taken the reins on a lot of stuff that Ron didn't expect that he might be able to at that point. And so I was really happy to hear how impressed he was. So I'm so excited. Dustin's a great guy, and he's going to go on to be a great crew chief someday. But our team's got no turnover, which is great. We've pretty much been that way since 2012. We've had one guy here or there, but not a lot of drivers can tell you they've had the consistency with teams like I've been able to have throughout the years. Whether it was a Brute car or even back to the Skoll car, having the same crew members core, the same group of people through the off season is a big deal. And so I feel like it's going to be great. We got a lot of new stuff with the Hellcat. We got a lot of things Tobler wants to try, but I think we're going to hit the ground running. Wow,
that is great. So Afflerbach is back, Booger is back, Tyler's back, yeah. Terry's back. That's cool though. You guys have your guys want to be there. Like it is a real team. Like it's a team. It's we say the word crew, but it's really a team.
No, it is, and they're family to me. They've all got nicknames. Some I can say in the air, and some I can't. But that's the thing about our guys. They've all got nicknames, and when one of them comes in, like we had a new guy at the beginning of last year, he gets given a nickname. He doesn't get to choose it, and the rest of the team is pretty quick about giving people nicknames. So it's always fun, and they are my family. I can't wait to see them and hang out with them. When I first see them at Pomona this week, and I spend most of my time, probably more than I do with my own family. So it means a lot to just hang out with them.
The clutch, you mentioned the clutch, 5-disc, 6-disc, going back, going forward. What is the plan for 2019?
Well, we went back to that 5-disc and right away just went back to the same performance we had before it. Dickie Venables, I think pretty much everybody. I don't think Beckman's car went back to the 5-disc. I could be wrong, but I think Medlin and Guido kept the 6-disc in their car. So the rest of us are going to be 5-disc and just continuing on. And, for the fans listening, the track prep, when it got to be less sticky, part of the really what does the 6-disc so justice is that you're able to just mow through it when there's a lot of good traction and really apply the power. And when we had the track prep taken back a little bit and the tracks weren't as sticky, to be ahead that, hey, this is going to be something that maybe we want to go back to where we're at with the 5-disc and all the data we have. So I'm glad he did.
There you go. All right, big news. There's lots of news in the sport of drag racing, and as much as you are, a champion driver and one of the, the veterans that's out there on the tour, I imagine you have some opinions about some things that are going on. The one that's bummed me out so much is just finding out that Tony Schumacher, as of right now, who knows, maybe there'll be some sort of, but as announced on his Facebook page, he's not going to be running the Winter Nationals. And that while it might end up being like a 1 or 2 race story, still a bummer.
Yeah, I got a text from him yesterday. We've been talking, and it looked like they had something signed, and it might still be, but I think Don's making the right move. He wants to keep that team intact. It's a great team, and I think he'd rather keep that team and keep their salaries paid and have to skip a race and be ready with something signed than to tell them that they can't fund the car and have them all go look for other jobs and then have something pop up. So it looked really promising, and hopefully it still is. But Tony, he's one of the best spokespeople you could have as a sponsor, and I was pretty sure it was going to happen right away. But that's the world out there. You look at NASCAR, and there's nobody's got a full sponsorship. Everybody's got things pieced together. Even the best drivers over there in NASCAR, which I think for sure we're going to have something on Tony's car, and I look forward to him. He's going to come hang out, which will be fun. But it's going to be strange to not see him in a car.
Send him up to the TV booth. That's another aspect. Our mutual great friend Brian Loans with a huge promotion to be the the lead on Fox Sports and kind of try to. He's so passionate. Deliver that passion to people who are flipping through channels. Like, what is this? What's going on with this sport? Why are these cars going so fast? That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I've known Brian a long time. Him and Chad, the bank shift guys, I remember getting them to come cover our West Palm Beach preseason test with bank shift. I know them from covering the March meet, and really both those guys from a long time. And watching Brian the first time that they put him down there doing what you do at the top end of the track, it was fun to watch him grow. And he brings a fresh kind of a different aspect to what's going on in the booth, and I'm looking forward. He's very knowledgeable, but he, it's fun hearing you guys and familiar voices. You turn on the radio in the trailer and hear you, or Brian, or whoever it may be at the track, and Brian Hart on the PA. It's just, it's nice, and you get a comfort with that. And Brian, I think, is gonna, he's funny when he needs to be, and I think he's gonna bring a whole new feel to our TV program.
Exactly. And what it's going to be, I don't know. Of course, we're doing NHRA TV. Did you see that? Partnering with Sony. To me, that's the headline, though. I mean, not to be critical, but I feel like NHRA partners with Sony is the headline. Like, okay, that's they're good, and I think it's going to be good. What do you think?
Yeah, everything's going to that. I watch Supercross a lot, and you look at other motorsports and other sports, and that's what today's all about. I mean, I find myself on my phone, after qualifying's over and I'm back at the hotel. Most of the time in the hotel at night, I'm on my phone or my laptop, and I'm watching an app from another sort of racing or sport or golf or whatever it may be, and I'm watching it through my mobile device. And we've always had the all access at the house, and we've got a nice big TV in the family room. And so when I'm on the road, the family watches all access the show live on a big TV like they're at the racetrack. So this switching over to this NHRA TV is going to be cool. We got Roku, and so the app's right on it, which is awesome. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people, my dad, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, they all tune in on their devices. So if people got something to do, you go on out, and to be able to watch it is cool, and I think it's going to be better and better as that NHRA TV grows.
I agree. Your great auto parts manufacturer rival, Courtney over the past couple of years. And let's face it, you've been around. It's your 25th year in the sport. She hasn't been around quite as long, but she made a strong impression. And whenever you and she would roll to the starting line, I would think, wow, I would remember the Battle of the Beer Wagons and all the great sponsor rivalries that happened. And, of course, DSR versus John Force Racing. Courtney has decided to move on to a different part of her life, which, of course, that is going to happen. Going to be a little bit of a bummer to not have her out there, that we're not going to see that cool rivalry anymore.
Yeah, it's always nice to have, and trust me, I remember last year at the countdown race in Charlotte, there was a photo that was put out on the internet of that. We ended up winning the race that weekend, but the special paint scheme we ran, and we were side by side with that car, and we were out a car length and a half or so, and I got an email I never get, and it was from the CEO of Napa Auto Parts, telling me that he was using that picture for a speech he was giving that night and how he appreciated everything we do. And it was so out of the blue and so cool. I mean, I ran around showing Don and Tobler and everybody. So it means a lot, trust me. And so it's going to be strange. I love and hate the fact that Courtney's not driving anymore. I love the fact that I don't have to line up next to her, because she was a thorn, man. She was good, and you knew that you had a fight on your hands when you raced her. So it's going to be strange not having her out there, and obviously we know the karate and how they ran with that car. It's going to be tough, and Force is it's going to be fun to race him, but he's got a fast hot rod this year.
Yeah, the testing, they didn't blow up anything. They kept it all together, and that's a joke that they're making, not just me. Like, they said that this was their best test session in a while. Obviously, Brian Karate over there, John Force wants to win. You guys are the 1 and 2 in funny car, like, for many years. Number 1 and 2 in terms of wins for this last era, for basically our whole conscious life, certainly this century that we have been watching. And to see you guys and JR and Sean Langdon and all these guys, Robert, of course, like, get in there and battle it out, to me, that's what it's all about. It's going to be so exciting to watch. And, every race matters, even the Winter Nationals. It's the first one. You're not going to make the countdown this weekend, but, boy, winning the first race of the year. I mean, that having been said, Matt Hagan usually wins this one.
Yeah, this is going to be... This field, we say it again every year. You and I talk about it, and it's you start to count how many cars you would put in what position, and God, the talent. You added Tasca's car with Mike Green now, and Wilkerson, of course, you can't count out. There's so many good cars. It's going to be, every year you wonder, is funny car is the field going to get lighter or maybe a little easier? And not even a chance. I mean, it's going to be tough. And seeing preseason testing, there were some good running cars that, they're going to be factors the whole season.
So one of our listeners, we've got this Patreon audience, which is like people who, pay a couple of bucks a month to hear behind the scenes stuff on the show. And I invited them to, if you got a question for Ron, like, let me hear something, a supplement, virtual producers, so to speak. And one of them, Sean, he said he was listening to JR's podcast, Nomex Effect, along with Sean, and that they were talking about you and Ron and Brian Loans. I went back to figure out exactly what they were talking about. Freiberger and Loans were in there, and it was a really good conversation about the sport. They love the sport, and we all love the sport. And they were talking about you and the detail with which you discuss every run. And so that's what Sean wants to know. The first couple of feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet, 60 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, like how detailed. Sean wants to know, how detailed does this get? Are you actually a robot that is able to process information that quickly while driving a funny car? And so I thought it would be interesting, for you to kind of give us a download on that. Like the run, you've taken us through runs before, but how do you remember that? How do you know what the car did 30 feet out, that I have to drive around a bump, that I have to worry about a transition that's coming up at 280 feet, something like that down the track? You're worried about a crack, a seam. How do you remember that? How do you know all that? How do you regurgitate that after a run?
That's a good question. And a lot of times, honestly, I don't. And I think a lot of drivers will tell you the same thing. I was lucky enough when I started driving the great Steve Evans. I got to know him pretty good, and he was, of course, a great announcer. And I just remember him one night. after dinner somewhere, and I was in Top Fuel my rookie year, and I remember him pulling me aside, and he said, "Hey, I just want to tell you, keep up the enthusiastic interviews." He said, "But if I could give you any advice, it would be take the listener at home along with you for that ride. Don't worry about being a billboard. Don't worry about mentioning your sponsors twice over and over, and don't sound like a robot. But take that person at home, because that's what made John Force so great through all those years. Not that he isn't now, but he had those people at home on the couch, including myself when I was younger, excited about what he just went through, whether he made it up or not. You know what I mean? He had your hair standing up on your neck because he was describing what happened in that race car. And that was the advice Steve Evans gave me. And I've never, ever had one sponsor question me about my interviews or not mentioning them in one interview here or there. And I think that was probably the biggest thing. And still today, when I get people saying they love my interviews because I take them through what our brain was going through. So, you know, I'm lucky Steve Evans did that and said that to me. But a lot of times any driver, I think, unless it's Beckman, and he'll probably read it back to you like he's iRobot, but there's a lot of times you don't remember things that happened during the run, and it's not until later. And to be honest with you, there's been times at night or even the next morning I'll wake up and I'll remember something that happened, and I'll either text my crew chief or call him or let him know right when I got back in the pit area of something I remembered. And it's funny how your brain works. You go through this stuff that's crammed into 3 seconds that's the most adrenaline you could imagine going through, the most craziness you'd imagine for 3 seconds that your brain, and sometimes it doesn't unload like a computer and spit the information out right away. So there's times when you don't remember what happened, but a lot of runs you're sort of hoping you're going straight early on in the run because it's so difficult to see with the vibration, the sound, and the clutch dust and everything that's flying up. But once the car gets to about a second and a half, it actually gets easier to see, believe it or not, the faster it goes. It gets quieter the faster you get going, which is bizarro for your brain. And it gets a little smoother, and the rear tire grows so you can see a little better over the injector. So it's crucial that first second and a half or 2 seconds to make sure you got it lined up, because once the clutch comes in and starts to apply and throw you back to even more G's, at that point, at 2 seconds in the run, you're planted into the trunk, and your brain can't imagine that you're going through more G's than it was when you just stepped on the gas. And you better have the car straight at that point, and that's crucial, because if you don't, then you're fighting it, and you're behind the 8 ball from then on, and you really have to sort of make big moves. And a lot of times, those big moves will cause the car some uneasiness. It'll cause it to come loose. So he's got a great question, because we don't have the sound as much as you guys hear outside the car when we step on the gas, but it surely is it's like the world's flying apart for a second and a half inside the car, because of just, there's little particles from the run before, and there's more clutch dust, and it's hard to see, and it's just loud and crazy, and you're just trying to get through that first second and a half.
Wow. You know what I found to be interesting is when I ask you the question, you reference Steve Evans, which is just awesome. Like the idea that I watched him as a kid too, and I think he's one of the greatest, and Cameron's a friend, and just so many different things. But it triggered something in my mind about how you learn and remember, not you in particular, but just people in general. And that, we're always fighting the boring interview, which is what you basically described. My sponsors got me here, and here goes the sponsors, and here are the names of the sponsors, and this is the sponsor, and that's it, and thank you. And people hate that. And people wonder why John Force is so popular. It's because of what you just said. You saw Elvis said, what is this guy talking about? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Let's watch. But by going through your run and telling and basically repeating it the second you get out for everyone, that helps you remember and understand the details. Like at the same time you're giving an interview, you're also like collecting your thoughts and processing for an important reason. What just happened in a way, I'm asking, helps you understand what you just did because you're doing that instead of giving some lame sponsor interview. No offense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times I'll get flack over something I said in an interview, or somebody else, some other driver might. And people have to remember the adrenaline we have, and we don't have a lap to go around holding the checkered flag out and calm down and cool down like some other motorsports. You know what I mean? We turn the corner, pop out of the roof hatch, And there it is. You better get out and do the right stuff. And you just went through more adrenaline than most people ever go through in their life, and you just did it in 3 seconds. So I don't always say the right stuff, nor do any other drivers, and sometimes we say the wrong thing, and a lot of times I get in the tow vehicle and I go, what did I just say? Seriously, what did I, and you just can't help yourself sometimes. The Jim Head thing in Seattle, like, people, I got so much flack over that, but people didn't understand the bizarre conversation that happened right before I get in the car for that race day. And it's on my mind throughout the whole run. And so as soon as I get out, my adrenaline's going, and out it comes. Like, I didn't expect to say anything.
Right.
And just sometimes things happen, and sometimes you want to take them back, and you can't because it's live and it's on film, and that's it. So
one, you thought that Jim, well, you were confused. I remember you were confused. Like, was this guy trying to get in my head? Jim Head's not the kind of guy that does that. What's going on? You were just confused, and you aired your confusion, basically. You basically, like, what's going on? You used our microphone to, like, question what was that all about?
Yeah, sometimes you get out and you're talking to or I am, or another driver's talking to somebody else there, standing there, and then the interview sort of starts. and when you guys start the interview, you're there listening, so you want elaboration on whatever's going on, and you want excitement, and you're good about it. You see something that people might want to know at home that's going to spice things up, then hey, why not figure it out? I love watching NASCAR when two drivers aren't getting along and something happened on the track. You're on the edge of your seat waiting to hear what's going to happen next. So, just, a lot of times, like I said, you just went through an amazing amount of adrenaline. And on that run, we happened to go low AT, I think, on a first-round run. But the whole time I've got this other thing on my brain, which I was perplexed by. So a lot goes on some of these runs. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I tell you, more times than not, I got back in the tow vehicle or I got home and turned on the TV and forgot that I had even said what I said in the interview. And then sometimes you shake your head and you go, oh, why did I say that? But it is what it is.
It is what it. Well, even Tobler. Even I remember one time, like, he had. I don't know exactly what it was to this day, but like there was a subject being discussed before the run that when you got out, the first thing you said, like, I don't know what that discussion was. Like, to me, it's breathing. Like, whatever part of the brain that controls breathing, like, you can't stop it. It just happens. It seems like sometimes, like, that's the part of the brain that just takes over after you've gone through this event.
Yeah, and most of us are. I'm an emotional guy. I strive on it and I use it, but it takes for me to kind of to hit the boiling point on something. It takes a lot to get me to that point. But when you do, or something does get me to that point, I'm gonna sort of explode with it, and I like to get it off my chest usually. But again, when you're up there racing these cars and you're staging and all the pressure that we have to do the right thing with all these people standing behind us and, all these people watching at home and supporters and sponsors and family and, there's a lot of pressure there. So you really sometimes can't corral it all. And again, there's things that are said and I empathize for a lot of the other drivers when I hear interviews and I go, oh, they're going to wish they didn't say that, but I've been there.
But that's, but again, it's entertainment. In the end, like, hopefully, and that's the problem. That's the downside is that, whatever Caps just said, it's not that big a deal because Caps is a good guy. And then, an hour from now, whatever it is, we're going to figure it out, right? It's not like the worst thing in the world, like none of it. Nothing that anybody says at the top end of the racetrack in this context of drag racing. Let's go with the entertainment value because I think it is. But unfortunately, you guys have to deal with a lot of fans that maybe don't quite get that and go over the top with their response.
I can't tell you how many times I've texted or went over and talked to or called somebody during the week, another driver or another team or somebody. Maybe I celebrated after beating them, or maybe I said something and I thought, oh man, I didn't mean it to sound that way. And I do that a lot. I might send a text and say, man, I didn't mean to, it wasn't intentionally rubbing it in your face or, just, and most of the time I've gotten to know everybody pretty well out in the tour. So we all know each other and sometimes you even expect it. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that fans may not know that goes on and it probably would change their opinion a little bit, but hopefully that some of that can be brought out. I think the fans would love hearing about it.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing is, like, we're always talking about, like, the fans, I don't know if this is exactly right, but, you know, we want to see you guys rub it in each other's face. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, my guys just beat your guys. Like, and you know, like when the Patriots won the Super Bowl against the Rams, and I don't know where you fall in that whole thing, being out there in California and all, being that the Rams are a St. Louis team just recently back there. That was a Rams team way back in the day. You get what I'm saying. But like the passions of fans want to go, yeah, and they probably like seeing their driver be like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I have that passion for other sports, so I understand. And there's things that, you know, I joke about it, but on my Facebook page, sometimes things will get put up, or somebody has comments about something that I said during an interview, and it turns into this, you know, hundreds of comments. And I tell people, hey, it's okay. You don't apologize for not being my fan and coming on my page and saying something. It's okay. I understand keep that passion. If you're a John Force fan, love being a John Force fan. You don't have to like me, but don't make personal statements or bash me because you don't know me. That's the point where I go, hey, you know, it's okay to be that way, but don't hate somebody personally if you haven't even known them. And so it's fun. It's fun seeing that banter back and forth with our fans.
And what other sport has that, by the way, where you're a fan of someone else and you can go to the rival's Facebook page and get into a discussion debate with them about why you don't like them? Come on, that's so drag racing.
Yeah, true.
You know, you're like right there. You're just accessible. All right, Ron, you always take so much time with us at the beginning of the year. I really appreciate it. To me, you know, I was thinking this year, like, what do I want to do? Do I want to do something different, showcase the new faces? And I'm like, no, man. Me and Caps, we've got this tradition. Like, we do a season preview, and why would I stray away from that? So let me ask you, like, a final question. Okay, you've been doing this now. You know, I hate to, you know, I mentioned your age. I'm like doing terrible things to you on this given edition. 25 years in the sport, it's a quarter century. Oh my gosh! But you're headed out to Pomona now for a historic event in this racing series that we love so much, and you're going to see, you're going to see your peeps and your guys. You're going to get to smash the gas on an 11,000 horsepower nitro funny car. You're going to get to compete against guys like John Force and Robert Height and people you respect. And there's a lot of really great stuff that's going to happen this weekend for you. Like, what do you look forward to the most?
For this race, you know, I'm loading the motorhome today. We got media day with a bunch of video and shoots and stuff we do with NHRA that kicks off the season, and that's Wednesday. Thursday, we set up the motorhome. I have friends and family. We sort of got an area that's roped off. They're fenced off of RV past the grandstands there. It's like a private area that I like getting there and getting set up with our friends. And Thursday, I love going up in the grandstands and watching top alcohol dragsters and funny cars and top dragster and all the sportsmen. And I spend Thursday kind of getting ready. And I know we're going to fire the car up a couple times this year, which isn't normal. I love just getting there early and just getting ready for the race. You know, once it starts, it's mayhem. And I joke sort of about having to get tickets and all the craziness that happens with a home race. But you got to love it. I love the fact that you get back to the motorhome at night and everybody's barbecuing and it's good family and friends hanging out. And I got all the rock star friends that live in LA that come hang out, and I don't get to see them all the time, and they get to see what we do. And that's just fun. And so I'm probably most looking forward to getting there and just seeing Tobler and the guys and getting ready for the battle. And there's nothing like pulling into that Pomona track. I mean, it just makes your hair stand up. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome. I want to tell everybody out there, inkmagazine.com. Jeff Hayden's got a great Q&A with Ron Capps. You got to check it out. It's all over the internet. Just search like Ron Capps Inc., which is really cool. That's you're getting pub outside of the sport with this. That is so vital. That's what we need. That's what we always talk about, and you're getting it. That is great.
Yeah, and it's just it's been awesome career, and I'm so happy and blessed to be where I'm at. I've made a living in drag racing without another job. That's been my only job for been doing it 25 years this year and representing great people. So it's fun right now. I got, like I said, I feel like I'm my second year driving, and so to see something like that, Allison, my publicist, she's been unbelievable. We got to do the Howard Stern wrap-up show last year, and these kind of fun things. She's really worked hard at that, and so I'm pumped. I can't wait. A lot of cool stuff, man. I can't wait for people to see our new car, the paint scheme. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Friday Night Nitro, a program we started last year where we play music, rollout music for the burnouts. And, most people liked it. Some people, they're not going to like everything. But what you changed songs, which I appreciate. You can't always go with the same song. You mixed it up, switched it up on us. We're doing it again this year. Do you have a song pick?
I didn't know we could. I actually sent Hannah, who does that at NHRA, I actually sent her a note asking if we could change. I didn't want to make things harder on them.
You can.
I had ironically gotten a text from J.R. Todd, and he had asked about the Metallica song that I had picked, and I said, you know what, I was just, that was his favorite song, I guess, and he was really wanting that song, and I had picked it first. I said, dude, it's yours. And this was going into Indy, or just after Indy, I think.
You sold it to him.
So I said, take it. And so I picked Pennywise, which is my buddies from Southern California, and the Broham song. And so it was a perfect thing. He got to play his Metallica song, and I've got Broham, which I'm starting off with this year in Pomona. We'll have that on. So, but it's cool because now they're allowing us drivers to pick different songs. So I'm looking forward to different songs, different areas of the country that we're going in. And I think the fans, if haven't witnessed it live, it's very cool to sit in the grandstands and wonder what song is coming on for each driver. And after it comes on, people are talking to each other like, hey, I didn't know that driver liked that kind of music. It's like Tim Wilkerson picked AC/DC or Metallica or something last year, and people were like, what? So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, very fun thing we do. All right, Ron, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always look forward to this because it means that we are getting ready to go racing. Good luck this year, all season long, but in particular, the 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, your 25th season of NHRA Drag Racing. You have made a career, not just a career, a championship career. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch. Thank you for your support, on and off the track and everything you do for WFO Radio. You're definitely a friend of the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.
Thanks, Ron. There he goes. Ron Capps with us here on WFO Radio. And that's kind of a long-standing WFO Radio tradition, having a in detail, long-form one-on-one with Ron Capps at the start of the season. And, Capps going on his cruise and all of that stuff. But now he's ready for 2019.
This is WFO Radio.